So I want to just do a quick recap because last week was very heavy. There was the zombiesaurus, for the lack of a better term. They will it was pretty gnarly, and it kind of messed up everyone. The party did save people and then left, taking time to get to Rain's hut, kind of rest and relax. Besides that, they were given a slight quest to return a wedding band to a partner in a town just kind of outside the farmlands, the small town. The farmlands has multiple like small kind of towns outside them because it's a farming community. And that is where we pick up. It is the next morning since Habe's sanatorium. The party rested, recovered, stitched up, their clothing repatched and made to look better. Nexon, right before you escaped the sanatorium in your glorious fire form, as you had used your sin power to help defeat and control this hideous beastie, you grabbed a stone from the basement in the necromancer's lair. That stone, as you had some time to study it, you realize it's a magical item known as an Aeon Stone. As you have finally invested into this item, if you want to, obviously, it does grant a boon of sorts.
Okay. Yeah, I will definitely be kind of taking a look at it and trying to figure out what it is.
Sure. So this beautiful stone, as you connect to its mystical energy, the stone does allow you to cast a second level, I could speak English, a second level augury spell as an innate spell once per day. So you have this free spell of augury that you could do every day. Augury, as you know, you could ask a question to an entity of sorts and kind of get an answer back. Good, bad, or neutral. It's wheel, woe, or nothing, which is kind of sad, right?
Such power. Much wow.
Yeah. So the morning comes kind of as you're next to the Kruger Creek, the sun starts to, part and burn off the mist that comes off of the running water. You all feel like you've gained experience, got your levels, and you now kind of all start to come together for breakfast.
Malvolio is definitely not the first to wake up. He does, however, sleep in a very artisanal pose. If you ever grew up in the 90s, there was a huge fad where you would have these really sticky hands that you would attach and you'd fling them at like windows and walls and they would get stuck to stuff. There was a similar product which was like these people and then you threw them onto the walls and then they would sort of... So the way Malvolio is kind of leaning, half of his body is like propped up against one of the walls, his arms like stuck to one side. The only word that seems to emanate from his air of sleeping is just exhaustion, like just everywhere. Also, there's a pile of wood with a head on top of it, and that is Kalodi. Yes, Rykon, like a cone head. If you've watched that movie, also
like a cone head. Good reference.
Because his head is on my wood pile, Rain is going to actually start the morning picking up fresh wood and sticks to start a little morning fire because she doesn't want to disturb him. It's a bit of a hassle that she already has collected wood pile, but she has to go out and find fresh new sticks. Twilo will be out there helping, gathering little berries though, gathering them one by one and bringing it back and putting it in her pouch So it's not a lot. We have like 5 berries, tiny little plinko berries. Now, Tweelo, make sure you get the right colored ones. If they're wrong, we'll all be sick and you'll have to take care of all of us. Getting too old to pick up all of these sticks. I should get someone to help me.
Yeah, Nixon's just gonna kind of be sitting like tying a bunch of her little words have escaped me. Tying a bunch of knots and little tokens and stuff like that for preparing her spells. And just kind of like watching Malvolo and Kalodi just laying there.
Yeah, I will also go out, but divert to get not to get wood. I'll get some herbs and some flowers for my perfume and my root magic. And then on the way back, I will see Rain struggling, and I will carry one big branch. Not because I'm lazy, but because that's all I can carry as a halfling. But like very awkwardly.
Would you like me to break that into pieces so they're easier to carry?
And then I'm
very impressive. If you're looking for a strength workout this morning.
And then I look back and I'm like, yeah, that. And then I'm just gonna try and give it back to Rain to break into more manageable pieces. You know, like when you see someone carrying like that giant bag of dog food where they like drag it a little bit and then they pick it up and then you walk it by edge. Like that was my vibe.
Just slowly, little pieces here and there. Yeah, no. This is much easier. Let's go ahead and break it down. And then you don't have to carry all of it. I can help too. She's gonna just like snap it in half, like with her foot, like breaking each piece. See, this is a lot easier. Trust me, the amount of times I've had to go out here and drag wood, and of course we have that nice wood pile, but we'll get it later. You know, it'll be nice. It's a nice morning out anyway. She's gonna keep cracking the wood. And they kind of keep, in her little frustration, she kind of keeps cracking them into very smaller and smaller pieces. Like it's not necessary to make them that small, but she's just kind of in a routine right now, just breaking sticks. Still thinking of it. She's mentioning it as Kalodi, but I'm just frustrated and a little overwhelmed and stressed still.
I went to go get the wood and then I'm like, okay, I'll just wait until she's gives me wood to carry.
She'll put like she has like this nice little pile of like 6-inch sticks now over at the side. This is fine. It'll just burn faster or something. I'm just gonna go find more sticks. You can take that pile. I'm gonna go find more sticks. I clearly need more.
As so as you Rain's out there collecting sticks, you are suddenly disturbed by a terrible crash in the woods. It's just like a good dome. That's the best sound I could do. It sounds like someone had felled a tree. And it comes off, you hear it in the distance, some birds kind of like take off out of the trees, and that's all you hear. It's just a very loud boom. Carla, you also hear this as you're getting closer to the hut. Everyone in the hut kind of hears a muffled sound, but Nexon, Marvolo, you're both, well, Marvolo's apparently standing like a cone head, but Nexon, you're more, focused on doing your morning rituals. And Rain, can I get a survival check to kind of just give you an estimate of where the sound would come from? like just like a general how far.
7.
So it sounded, to your best sound, it sounded like it probably was on the main road, the Lost Coast Road that runs the along the coast, as it's known. So it's from your hut, it's maybe a mile or two away.
Is it? Do I have to run past the hut to get towards that direction, or is it in
So
the opposite direction?
It would be away from the hut, so you would be going away from your home.
Okay.
It's not
hearing-
like it. Yeah.
Okay. Just hearing that initial sound jolts Rain completely, and she lifts her shield up almost instinctively. The sound is much too far to actually be close to her, but anything is just catching her off guard. She's gonna look for Carla real quick, or Cassandra.
I'm gonna, as if I hear the muffled, I'm gonna be like, Rain, is that you? Are you breaking trees?
That one was not me. That was not me. I'm not like chopping down an entire tree for this.
Okay. I'll get the others, and then I'm gonna go in with a pile of sticks and try wake Malvola and say, "There's a weird sound in the forest." To Nixon.
Oh. What?
I'm awake. Why am I?
There's apparently a weird sound.
It is the woods. Everything sounds weird. What
That's
kind of
what
weird
I
sound?
thought. Kind of like a, and then I do a very bad imitation of like a kind of
and
sound.
I mean, if Rain also thinks this is a weird sound, I'd go with her expertise.
Malvolo throws what is the equivalent of a tiny adult tantrum, like thrashing his legs in the bed just a little bit, as he then just goes, fine, and then throws himself, come on you, and he'll grab hold of Kalodi's head. I haven't really had time to repair him properly, so I'm just gonna take the head with me. And Kalodi's like, oh, where we going? Hey, I can walk myself. No, you can't. Oh, I can't. Well, what do you intend for me to do? You're just gonna throw me at people? Yes. What? But, you know, I have weapons back in the... I don't care. Yes. This is your punishment. For what? You know what you did. Yeah, and I'll... Which way, Cassandra?
Rain, which way? I'm gonna shout into the woods if Rain hasn't come back to the hut yet.
Just over here. She's gonna reach up and like shake a branch, so higher up you can kind of see like the leaves moving a little bit. Just come over this way.
So as Rain reaches up from her 7 feet, so now she's getting like really high up there, and it's like a full branch is just shaking. Because I think we all forget how big Rain really is.
I am a
And
giant.
yeah, she's a moose person. So she just shakes this branch. I remember Nexon, as she was carrying sticks and breaking them down, for you, they're like logs, right? Like they were fairly large for her. And so she just shakes this branch, and everyone can see, and you guys kind of dart off into that direction. I mean, everyone darts off. Marvolo kind of saunters as he is still kind of waking up. And you get over there, and Rain, you've put down the pile of wood that you kind of have created. Pile as like it's a small mound for the short folk. Yeah. And you kind of lead the party to the main road. You start to go through, and you know these woods, right? Like this is where you live. You plant out here, and you've taken your cart onto this road a number of times. And then you start to make your way to the main road, and you can now start to hear voices. Sounds like a male and a female voice are talking and chattering back and forth. Uh, oh, I told you to watch out for that. I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. Like it was the stupid ox. I'm sorry. Oh, do we have the jack? I don't know. I thought we packed it. Did we pack it? And as you kind of come out into the clearing, you could see a halfling with a medium-sized cart and another halfling sitting in the driver's seat and an ox that's kind of hitched onto the cart's thing. The cart seems sideways. It's kind of bent sideways and is just hanging out on the side of the road. And that was the cart that you can assume was that big collapse sound that ruined the morning.
Almost hesitantly, Rain's going to kind of like, as we creep out onto the road, is everyone okay?
Oh, and the halfling that's standing on the ground, kind of talking up to the other one in the driver's seat, kind of turns around and sees you, and you instantly recognize this memories come back as it hasn't been too long. The rest of the group kind of comes into the clearing following your lead, and now the halfling on the driver's seat, and they go, "Oh, it's you! Oh, good!" And you recognize the halfling on the floor. It is Winius, the halfling that was the bride at the wedding you went to, that you brought the flowers and you fought off the giant hornet. They seem to have had another accident. The best of luck doesn't seem to be on them. And Winius rushes you, Rain, and just throws his arms around your legs as if you are like close friend. And he was like, "Oh my goodness, you're Hannah's friend. Thank you so much. Oh, what fortunate luck."
Well, yeah, no, we heard the thud, and honestly, we were probably expecting something very different. She just has like this huge. Okay, I'm glad it's just you two, and what like a tilted cart or something? Did your wheel break?
Yeah. And so he backs up and, hard, like everyone just sees his neck because he's like fully looking up at Rain. And he's like, "Yeah, you know, uh, we were driving out to taking the road and, going on our honeymoon. And all of a sudden I must have hit a pothole or something. And the wheel cracked. You wouldn't all be able to help again if it's not too much trouble."
That's not a problem at all. Come on, guys. It's just a cracked wheel. It's nothing else. Oh, yeah. No. We can help you all. You all are very early risers, traveling so early. Goodness.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what they say, the early bird gets the worm.
I mean, sure, if you like worms.
Where I come from, that is a heinous insult.
Oh, I apologize, good sir.
It's quite all right.
I meant no offense by it.
Yes. I'm sure.
You don't have to apologize. He's clearly just not a morning person. Just.
Do you have an extra wheel?
So, funny story. We packed everything, but it seems I forgot to bring an extra wheel and possibly a jack. And then Welma, the halfling cart driver, his now bride, his wife, she looks and she goes, "Well, we brought the essential," and she kind of pulls back like a little bit of the cart, and at that point you get a whiff of just dried meats, and you could see they're just hanging all off of the inside of the cart. And it's the typical thing, right? Like the halflings brought all the food and luxuries, but forgot the importance, the real important stuff, right? Like a spare. So when this kind of looks sheepishly at the group and says, "Well, yeah, I forgot. I'm sorry. I just, you wouldn't happen to have a spare?"
It's not something I can keep in my back pocket, but we can make something work. Where are you going to?
Oh, we're heading on our honeymoon. We're decided that we were going to go to the big city, Magnamar, and I've rented out a little cottage in the city, in the the nicer districts. We're gonna catch a show. We're gonna meet up with a little family. I'm thinking maybe we'll get dinner, which I like to call is in between lunch and dinner, and then we'll go get a nice dinner with them. And maybe we'll definitely see the cathedral to Desna. I hear it's beautiful over there. So that's really on my itinerary. Wilma, what else are we doing? And then she looks and she pulls out like a little book, and then she's like, okay, so tomorrow we're supposed to tomorrow our plan is to go see the Minstrel.
Oh, that's
at
fantastic. No, that sounds like you all have fantastic plans that are very detailed, and you have a lot of notes over. So thank you. But before you can go off and do all of those wonderful itinerary items, we should probably get that wheel going for you, huh? That way you can make it there on time.
Oh yeah, yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Nixon's gonna kind of sidle over to Malvelo and be like, do you think you can fix that, fella? I didn't think we were gonna need to be fixing things today, so I'm not the most helpful right now.
Malvolo kind of has a moment where he sort of looks at Nexon and says, "You mean can the woodsmith fix the broken wooden wheel in the forest?" Yes, I can. I'm sorry, I haven't had my coffee. I feel, yes, I can. I'll need to go get my tools. Hold this. I'm gonna put Collodi in Nexon's hands. And Malvolo doesn't like work on the best of days. And of course, sleeping in is one of the very, very few rights of his people that he likes to observe. So waking up early to do work is just like, it's like the worst day of his life. And he's just passive aggressive walks away. He'll come back in, a couple minutes, as with some wood carving tools. And I would like to attempt to. How messed up is the wheel? Is the wheel salvageable, or do I need to make a new one?
The wheel, blah 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 blah. It's not just Marvolo who's having problems in the morning. I too am having speaking problems. The wheel is salvageable. It seems to have cracked a little bit, so you might have to kind of make a bridge on it. The bigger problem is they don't have a jack, so you getting it off is a little bit of an issue.
When I return, I'll convey that, and I'll say, well, Rain, do you think you could
Could I what?
Would you be so kind as to hoist the wagon?
Sure. Since you asked so nicely,
Thank
I'd be
you.
happy to help.
This is this dirty look like you're asking me to do things. This isn't even a favor I want. Why am I begging? And I will make a craft check because I can somehow use these for combat and for basic things. That is also, I just found out because
crafty like that.
He is. I actually just accidentally clicked on Collodi, and I realized Collodi, however, has a -4 to his crafting.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, he is not a builder.
He can't make his own body.
Yeah. 32.
Oh wow. Okay. So Marvolo, you can definitely patch it and get it up and running in about an hour, where normally this kind of hard work would have taken you taken a less of a person probably 2 to 3 hours worth of work. So you could do it in an hour. You're like that. You're like Ron Swanson with this. You're like, oh, people who buy stuff are idiots, and then you could just cobble it together. So
Okay.
Marvolo kind of goes off and starts doing their thing.
If it's gonna take an hour, I'll probably ask Rain if, or even Nexon or Cassandra if there's like a log or a rock or something that they could just wedge under it so that Rain doesn't have to like kind of, get swole lifting this wagon for like an hour straight.
Morning workout. I was inspired by Cassandra this morning.
I feel like we
Lots
would
with
have
it.
pre-prepped the log, and then as Rain lifted, me and Nixon can like, when you edge it like left, right, and you walk it
Yeah.
across to underneath.
I'm just imagining like when you make the base for the snowman, just slowly trying to push it that way, but it's a little lopsided, so you have to control it more.
No. We want it over a little more to the right.
My right or your right?
My right.
Just a little bit more.
Okay.
Look, make a decision. I can't work like this. If this thing crushes me, I will be unhappy. But I will be asleep.
Kaz looks at you as her and Nixon are like underneath the thing because we've got to get and I'm like, crushes you as I'm like trying to maneuver.
So you guys, Nexon and Cassandra kind of wedge that wheel under there as Rain kind of just props it up, holding up this cart, and you prop it in there. At that point, Welma jumps back into the cart, into the back of the cart, and you could hear pots and pans and everything, and she kind of just starts hoisting stuff out of the back of the cart, putting it onto giving it to Witness, and he starts to unpack what you can only assume would be like a portable kitchen. It is the most insane thing you've ever seen. It's like, one of those campfire burners. So like the little campfire, the burner would be normal, right? Like, yeah, we're gonna go on a travel, we'll have a little picnic. No. These two come with all the bells and whistles, and they bring out a smaller rack of all different kinds of pots and pans that they can cook with. Welma goes, "Don't worry, I'll get the coffee on." And when she says that, she kind of looks over at Marvolo, and she pulls out a coffee pot and a hand grinder, and she starts to grind beans. And they are going into it. They pull off some sausage links, and they look around, and Welma looks at Witness and mumbles something, and Witness looks over at Rain and says, do you happen to eat meat?
I can if it's sourced ethically, sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna ethically give it to you, not a problem. And so he starts to pull off more sausage links, and someone at one point just pulls out a whole ham hock, just like a whole ham hock, and they start to cut into it. And at this point, they've set up 4 or 5 of those little burners to make like a large 5x5 square. If this was combat, it could be used as like an improvised weapon at this point. And they have like 6 or 7 pots going. Different meats are being cooked. Different cured items are being re-roasted. And it's mouth-watering. As Marvolo is fixing this, they are setting things up. And Welma and Witness are both actively cooking. It is not like one person is doing this. It is a duo, and it is amazing to look at. If you've ever seen like Iron Chef, and you just see, when chefs are in the zone and they're just doing things and passing things without even giving each other words, and it's crazy. It is some of the coolest stuff you've ever seen. In about 15 minutes, you all have about 6 plates of food in front of you.
Oh.
I'm gonna eat it all my 6 plates
All 6.
happily. Yum, yum, yum.
Really didn't have to do this. I mean, we just are helping to fix the tire. That's it. I mean, goodness,
No.
this is peace that you've given us.
Oh no, honey. This is just hospitality. We really appreciate everything you've done for us. If you couldn't have gotten us those flowers, our wedding would have been a mess. And Wilma kind of says, "Yeah, look," and she pulls out like a bouquet that she has drying. And
Loved it.
yes, of course, hon. And and this is the least we could do. I'm sorry, it's such a meager amount. It could have been more if we knew we were gonna have company. Tea, coffee. What would everyone like?
Oh, tea, please. Yes.
Tea,
I'll have tea as well.
tea. Okay.
You hear a muffled coffee.
Here, I'll take his over to him. He's a little grumpy right now, so I'll just. be the
Thank you,
angel.
thank you.
Yeah. She's gonna bring coffee over. Like, you nice. They're offering this. We didn't need to get better.
Fine. Thank you. I sort of look at Rain like,
You're welcome. Thank you for helping fix the wagon wheel. We appreciate it.
it's this very like dirt-eating grin, just, and then I'll drink my coffee, and then
We're very happy to help.
With that, you all enjoy some peppermint tea, and weirdly, if you have coffee, it's hazelnut flavored coffee. It's just insane. They brought in so much stuff.
So good.
It's really crazy, and fresh cream. Somehow they have fresh cream. It's Rain, you're like trying to do the math in your head, and you're like, I live out here and I don't have fresh cream every morning.
You have like a tiny cow in there too.
Just
Be confused.
it is just
It-
insane.
It just makes sense. Kaz has no questions. She is just like, this is amazing. Thank you. And if people leave their stuff, Kaz is going to eat it. Like whatever, because it's been cooked now. It would waste it to not eat it. And,
That's true.
And then I'm going to eat it.
Yeah. Next one will kind of like eat her fill and then just kind of slide the plate over to Cass, seeing her eyeing the food.
Yeah, it's like one of those, you sit with your knife and fork and you still like, even though your plate's clean, you're just kind of like holding them, looking at other people.
No, Malvolo will like have like the tiniest thing, but he'll kind of like, despite his protests, he loves doing what he does. He just doesn't like being asked to do it. So he's a very complicated individual. Okay, so he's just so engrossed in what he's doing. He's got like a piece of like bread in his mouth, which he hasn't taken a bite out of. He's just working.
As the as the hour kind of passes with everyone eating and just small chit chat, basically Venus and Wilma kind of explained that they were heading from their wedding venue, which was just slightly outside of Standpoint, and now they're heading over to Magnamar to see family. They express gratitude fervently. They're just so happy that everyone is here. As the hour passes, Marvolo, you finish, and it's some of your best work with a 32. It's fairly high up there.
Your wheels are now all terrain.
Yeah.
You can float on water with these now. It was something that Rain said about how tired I was. I decided to use some sap from the nearby rubber trees and create this insulated ring of air around each of the wheels to prevent them from taking further damage from your cobblestone roads. And with the creek being so far close by, I thought, last thing we need is for you to get stuck in the river. So I called them tires on behalf of Rain and how tired I happen to be.
Marvolo has invented tires.
Yeah.
Well, Well, it's truly a work of wonder. And now all we have to do is put it back on and you'll be good to go. Off to your little trip, off with the honeymoon and lunch and dinner and all of the nice things.
I'm going to just lean over casually to Nixon while I'm eating, like when she passes me her meal. And I'm going to say, aren't we also going to Magnamar if our next investigation is at the Foxglove Manor? Is Magnamar a place for a honeymoon? And then,
how much do I know about Magmar?
Um,
I think the Foxgloves is over that way.
yeah, it's so the Foxgloves is the manor is outside the city, and that's kind of where you're heading to. Well, it's on the the laundry list of things to do. So the manor is just slightly outside the city, and Magnamar is a fairly well-known city. It's think like New York or Los Angeles. It's one of the larger cities, and that's why Sandpoint is so important. Is it's part of a trade route. This and that's that. So it'd be kind of like if your friends who lived in, I don't know, kind of outside in the suburbs or like rural area decided that they were gonna take a trip to New York. You'd be like, okay, just be safe.
Yeah. I mean, we're certainly heading that way, and it's someplace that I've thought about wanting to visit to see their kind of fashion and all that. So, yeah, I suppose if we're heading off to the manor next, we could maybe ask about traveling with them.
So what you're suggesting here is that we are taking the halflings to Magnamar.
for safety, I think it's best that we take them. How long is there another meal? Jerry, just asking. There's another meal before we get to Magnamar, right? Just checking.
Well, there would be brunch, and then secondsies, obviously.
I believe we should escort them. For safety, considering all that's happened recently, and considering potentially it's happening on the outskirts. Just escorting our friends towards there and towards lunch.
Quick little sidebar, everyone. She's gonna kind of like encourage everyone to get into a huddle over on the side. Oh, I get it, like lunch and protecting them, but we've also been kind of attracting a lot of this. Like I'm a bit of a magnet for some of these things. Would we be putting them in danger if they come along with us?
I mean, they don't. As long as we aren't lighting the wagon on fire like we've done the last couple places.
But on the other hand, with the amount of times that they seem to require sustenance, this might actually be quicker if we were to travel on our own.
That's true. We could clear the pathway. Is there a cottage on the south side, I wonder? Isn't that where Foxglove Manor is, on the outside of it? I'm trying to think. We just need to make sure they stay safe and that we get there probably before them.
Kaz, even though her stomach is like very full, and she's gonna do that like I had a food baby waddle when we start walking, she's gonna be like, I guess it makes sense. And then she's gonna give the wife her root magic pouch for the day. Yeah. And then she's gonna be like, thank you very much for the food. And even though she's walking like has a food baby, it's not that like she's not uncomfortable with it. Like, you can see she eats like this all the time. So she's just like, oh yeah, oof, 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 down the street.
Food strut.
The proud fruit strut.
Just like, Look at me. I had to unbutton my pants if my pants had buttons.
So Wilma thanks you for the pouch, as you explained to her that it's, you know, it'll keep them safe or keep the good luck on them. Witness thanks everyone greatly, shaking everyone's hand aggressively. You know that like the two hand, like I'm just gonna shake it till try and rip your arm off, because I'm so happy. And it's he gives handshakes. Wilma gives out hugs, and
Malvola will hold up like oily hands, like from like the axle grease and stuff, and just I know it's the sentiment is very appreciated, but please, don't touch me.
And Wilma hops into the back of the cart as Cassandra starts to waddle her food strut away, and you can hear now kind of a lot of commotion, and Wilma jumps back out the cart and runs over to Cassandra and says, "Here, take this," and she gives you a basket, and it's packed full of just food, like rations, and it's like leftover stuff, delicious honey cakes, roasted nuts and berries, just a wide variety of dried meats. And as they hop into the cart, and Wilma kind of takes the reins and starts, Witness is like, wait, and he hops out the cart and he runs over and he's like, I want to give this. It's really, we were unable to pay you for the wedding, and again, you've helped us, and we're now unable to pay you for your hard work, but maybe this can help. And he pulls out a beautiful bottle of bloodberry gin, and he hands it over to Cassandra. And Nexon and Cassandra, as you're both fairly close to each other, you both know, since you've kind of worked in the Cassandra working in taverns and being kind of like dealing in that scenario, and Nexon dealing with kind of the art scene and dealing with those like lavish parties, you both know that bloodberry gin runs at a minimum starting at about 110 gold pieces. So it is like one of the finer bottles of gin that you could have. And he says, hopefully this helps. And he hops back into the cart, and Wilma cracks the reins, and the cart kind of trottles off down the road, and then they start to wave to everyone.
Fun on your honeymoon. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
As they get about half, ride off into the sunrise, as it was at this point, Rain, you kind of walk over to see the pothole that they hit and make a survival check. Ooh, perfect.
You.
As you look into the pothole and you stand back, you realize it's a footprint. It's a fairly large print, not like of a foot, like a person's foot, but more or less like it looks like a three-toed creature.
Rain is going to look at it and then take a step back.
Yeah.
Am I dreaming things? She's going to look back at it. 3 toes. Is it going in the direction towards the city?
It is not. It seems as if it might have stepped onto the road and then is heading towards the farmland area. So your general knowledge of this place is fairly good. So it's heading kind of towards the farmlands again.
Judging by how many creatures I know that have 3 toes, am I able to determine what this creature is?
Your best guess is it's So you don't see a lot of now, like you're looking into the trees and stuff, you notice scrapes along the trees that are fairly high up, not like super high top of the tree, but it's about your eye level, so it's about 7 feet up off the ground, and it looks like something had scraped their way, kind of maneuvering through the trees, scraping the bark off the edges. And you look around and you do that thing where you get down to the ground and you start to like look into the grass and you start to find other little footprints following next to this thing.
Next to a thing.
Yeah. And those footprints are smaller. You like look at your hand and then you look over at Nexon and Cassandra's foot and you're like, yeah, that would be about the same size. So there are small creatures also flanking whatever this larger creature is.
Cassandra, come on over here. Can I borrow your foot for a second? Just
okay.
One foot.
I come across, and then I would have put the snacks and the gin in our bag of holding, which we totally have. Yay!
Come over here. I need one of your one foot. Can you put it next to this little spot here? You see where it's slightly indented?
And then I brought my foot there.
Yeah, that's a match. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Someone's walking a very giant beast. They must be, right? Like there's a ton of little footsteps and there's one
Mhm.
big footstep. I don't know if you guys noticed that pothole. First of all, I know potholes. That's not a pothole. Okay? That's a footprint of something very, very large.
Mhm.
Very large. And it's going that way with a bunch of little footprints. So I have to only imagine that's someone with a pet, right? Who's just taking their nice giant pet for a walk. Right?
Right.
Through the forest.
Any concern that Winnis and Wilma might run into that pet?
Well, it looks like it's going through the forest instead of staying on the pathway, so
Well,
they
that's
might be
good.
fine. The problem is that it's going towards some of the farmland. So if we like some of the farmers, they may be encountering, the new pet Bucky or whatever, someone just trouncing through. We should
I
probably go
mean,
check.
how many of the farmers are left?
So the whole of the farm, so it's called the farmland, right? As in like it's a swath of land that
Oh,
the
okay.
farmers kind of use to farm. It's it's like when some place it has a generic name, like, oh, this is, these lands are this area is just known. That's I guess the now given name, just farmlands. Like, welcome to the farmlands. There's many farms in these lands, so you guys would know that.
Farmland, where there are many farms in this land. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. So there might be some people out there on the other side of that forest that may not be expecting something to come trouncing through any moment, I'm sure. A checkup. I know we've been doing a little bit of this and we've got our mission, but maybe if we could detour them away from the people and agriculture and the main source of food for Sandpoint, that might be a really good idea. One problem leads to another.
I don't disagree. Sure. Let's get this done. What's the harm? Let's fight a giant beast. I mean, we've killed one already. I've had my coffee.
I was not expecting this from you. So look at you with your little step of empathy. We're taking a step in the right direction. Oh, not quite as big as this particular step.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of maybe I can carve up whatever this thing is and perhaps use it for parts for Kalodi. Hey, that's a good idea. I've always wanted to know what skin feels like.
You don't know.
Is that weird?
We don't have to necessarily murder it. Let's see what's going on. Maybe they're just doing a nice walk and we just need to direct them. Let's stick with the empathy side, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
Hearing about
you know,
violence.
could be just somebody's got a new like instead of an ox, something even bigger to pull a plow.
Yeah, like a dinosaur. Apparently, it's fine.
Maybe it's
Did I-
a large chicken and they are just trying to find a way to make omelets easier.
That's true.
Instead of like 4 eggs, you now just need 1.
Maybe it had a growth serum or something, and it drank it, and it went poof, and so they're just walking it out until it just shrinks back down or something.
They casted in large on it. I mean, I've shrunk before,
Mhm.
and I'm glad you didn't murder me. So
Yeah.
let's not be sizist,
Yes. Yeah.
and let's see what it is.
So the footsteps, they go through that way. You can kind of also tell because all of the trees are wrecked in that pathway. I'm good at tracking.
Yep. Sorry. So as Rain kind of points out what is happening at this point, the rest of the group can see Dawn, Carla, and Michael, as you guys can, your characters look down at what Rain is pointing at, this footprint. You realize that Nexon and Cass could probably lay down and it would go from like head to toe. So it's about 3 feet long. And yeah, so you could probably lay into the pothole and feel a bit comfortable. Kind of traversing into these, well, following the path on the outward of the woods. Rain, you know,
We can like cover or like fix the pothole. As nice
Yeah.
as-
You know what? Yeah, sure, not a problem. You would just like fill it in with some dirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would just throw down like some rocks and some dirt. I mean, it's not like the best patch job the party has ever done.
No,
And yeah, but you probably would stop people from getting like another broken wagon wheel. Unless Marvolo wants to spend some craft time to patch the hole, but I feel like that's a little beneath his skill.
If I have quick craft, could I potentially do it super quickly?
Yeah, maybe in like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, fine. If it's 5-10 minutes, I'll just be like, give me a second. Well, basically, it's probably more along the lines of I just make a shovel and I just.
Oh, see, now there's another point of empathy. You have 2 empathy points today. I'm really proud of you.
Feel he's gonna cash them in to just like take out Baylor.
As this is happening, you see me sort of patting the ground, and then you hear this.
Uh-huh.
I keep patting the ground a bit.
You did
You know,
not
I
interview.
thought I set Collodi's head down over there on that pile of rocks.
You look over at the rocks. Collodi's head seems to be missing.
Where?
Where's
Collodi?
what? Just.
Unbury him.
Fine.
You can't do. Okay, we're taking back that empathy point.
You know, it's a really good thing I don't breathe, because I ain't got no neck no more.
Collodi. No. Okay, how about one of us carry Collodi's head? Because apparently you aren't responsible enough, and even though Collodi can't enjoy the fresh air, we'll at least give it to him. Any volunteers?
I mean, I'll carry Collodi's head.
You're a good person, Nexon. I always knew that you were special. I'd be wiping tears from my eyes, but I don't have eyes or hands, so I'm just kind of describing what I'd be doing.
I mean, it's the least I can do after I used you as a literal shield.
You did use me as a shield. I remember that. I was conscious. I just couldn't move.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it was
I feel
fine.
worse about that now.
Oh, it's all right. I mean, what's a few gruesome bodily injuries between friends? Malvola will pat down the pothole again, and along the way, and I know this is gonna be, I mean, I'm just playing around with the idea. There are some rare trees in role-playing games called ironbark. which is a stronger version of wood. I would maybe like to look as we travel the countryside, because this is probably the furthest in the forest I've been, to see if I can find any ironbark trees that I might be able to make a body for Kalodi out of. I mean, there doesn't have to be one right here. I'm just more like...
Yeah. Oh, just look, there happens to be one right as you walk down
stop.
the road.
Look at it, it's right here.
Surprise. If Marvolo would like to maybe converse with Rain about that, the two of you could put your collective heads together and maybe figure out like an area that it would be habitable for trees like that and how to find it. But I see where you're going with that. I will make note to say it's possibly there.
We'll turn that into a little bit of back and forth banter as we travel, describing the different types of like building materials that I could use to make Kalodi. I mean, technically I could make him out of stone, but he would be very heavy and clunky. So wood is my preference, and
if you go with a willow, maybe he could have like really fluid arms. He could dance then.
It's true, but don't willows rustle a lot? And Kalodi, he does not know how to shut up, let alone if he's making noise when he's moving.
That's true. We probably should minimize that. Okay, so you said you wanted ironbark, right? I'm trying to think where I've come across that. Typically, because the bark has to be stronger due to the elements, you're not going to find it in the center of the forest. It's more so on the outside. It builds up a bit of a barrier against all the extra elements since it's not nestled within. So, I mean, on our best bet, we might be able to find it near the edge before we hit the farmlands.
Well, I'll be sure to look out for it. Thank you.
Yeah. You can always tell when you walk by, just start knocking on some of the trees. It'll make a different sound.
Thank you. I will try this. He will go. It just every other tree, not like every single tree for the next few miles. Like just every other tree. Just.
Nixon's gonna be carrying Kalodi's head like balanced on top of her head, like holding it with one hand, like carrying a basket, but have him like facing backwards.
Oh,
and just be
yeah,
like,
I get it.
If you don't mind, just keep
Watch
an
your
eye
back.
on
Yeah,
box.
I got you. I can watch your back. If you want, I can also keep an eye out, but that'd make it twice as hard.
There needs to be negative hero points to something.
I should have. That's fine. The first joke was funny, but I should have quit while I was ahead.
Oh, no. Having traveled deeper into taking the Lost Coast Road and now traveling deeper into the woods, kind of following the edge, moving along the outside of what you're assuming is a large creature. You kind of follow around, going around the Ashen Rise, which is just like a plateau of limestone. And this is the sign that you're getting closer to the farmland area. Moving around there, you now start to enter into different farmland towns. Following the trail, it kind of the strange part is, as you were traveling around that Ashen Rise, you lost the track of it. Like those big steps that you were following, suddenly just there was like one step, then there was a lot of those little footprints, and then there were no more steps. There were still footprints heading towards the Egan Wood. And like that little town that if you can see the map, it's kind of right on the edge of Egan's Wood. There's like a little town right there. I'll send you guys. If I didn't send the map, you could see it. There's a small town there of just little farmland, little farmhouses and different farming communities. So all you see, all those little white squares are like small communities, maybe 50, 60 people.
Okay. Rain is just gonna freeze for a second.
Mhm.
Either it sprouted wings or the ground ate them up and then they left their big pet behind. I'm not quite sure. The pathway, the big steps are gone. No more big steps to follow.
Well, it seems as though the steps have ended within view of the town. Maybe, I mean, if something came through that big, someone must have seen something.
Or it ate everyone. No.
Oh.
I'm sure they're fine.
Or it just shrunk, and
Yeah.
it's normal size.
That's true. It could shrink again. It could shrink. And transform of sorts.
Normal chicken size.
Okay. Right. Let's look for some normal chickens here. That won't help, will it? Okay. Well, yeah, let's just go into the town and ask. If they say-
Traveling into the small town, there's literally only kind of one main road. There's a small general store that kind of sells everything, mostly goods, where additional farming supplies, feed, animal feed. On this main road, there is what you would assume would be a tavern or a local inn. It's fairly small, nothing as grand as Sandpoint. And then you could kind of see a medium-sized chapel in the back. It's kind of like standing out. Has the depiction of the gods of the area. So Desna, Eomade, Kalin, and Sarenrae are like 4 deities. Kind of their logos are inscribed on the arch. Those are mostly the human deities of protection. As you walk around, people are moving to and fro. None of them really seem to notice you, as they're just going about their day.
Are there like kids playing nearby or something?
As you look around, there don't seem to be any children outside. People, as you start to look, you make your way into town, getting towards the center of this like little area. You notice that everyone seems to be very sullen. Almost like a sadness is upon them.
Did the smaller footprints come into the town though? They came.
You lost track of them, like right outside of the town, maybe less than a mile outside of the town. Everyone just, inside the town, it's a dirt road that goes down the center of this like little area, general store, an inn, a few little houses around the area, and then you have the temple in the back.
When we were following those steps in, were we able to, can we determine, goodness, how many different individuals were making those steps? Like, were there 3 clear different paths? Like, are we looking for a group of 3 or 12?
Yes. So in the travel and the hunt, there was about 15 little footprints, give or take, 15 pairs.
Okay.
15. So there was about 15 people.
So it is some sort of pied Tyrannosaurus of Hamlin?
Yeah.
Okay. A group of 15 probably isn't that hard to find here. Probably look like a tourist group, honestly. Not like us. We clearly blend in.
So it's now getting to about mid-afternoon. As you've traveled deeper in, you're about halfway to actually So from where your point is, you're about the halfway point to Foxglove Manor. So you've traveled decently down. Remember, it was about 11 kilometers. So.
Did you just say kilometers?
Yes.
Good on you.
I'm using it because we're doing this more for like.
I appreciate it. It's just
I
I'd
got-
like
I
to take
got
a
you
moment to
guys.
acknowledge
I
how.
do too.
Yeah,
I
super
got you
appreciate
guys.
it.
I got you. I actually looked it up and wrote it down. So I was
It's like
like,
the-
okay,
it's like
I
the
converted.
It's like the first time I just haven't had
Nice.
my eyes go, yep, cool, that's some sort of distance. No, I know how.
Yeah,
I get it. I know how far we've traveled. That's awesome.
I'm
tried.
usually like in time. How long would that take us?
Yeah. So yeah, so you're about 11 kilometers down. Give or take, that's roughly a little over 9 miles, right?
Sure.
I think. I feel like maybe.
I think it's more like 6.
6, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So it's about 6 miles for everyone else. For us lazy Americans.
I would, even if you told me like 9 or 12 miles, like it's more than I'd want to walk. Got it.
I contemplated in using leagues, being like, oh, it's about 7 leagues. And just watch everyone go, I have no idea what he means.
I played in a game once where we used one of the other PCs as a unit of measurement. Like it's like it was like 18 galos long.
Nice.
That makes sense.
So making your way into the town, looking around, again, everyone looks super sullen, and you don't see any children. And normally where there would be signs of children playing, maybe a school that would be taking place in the temple run by the chapel, everyone looks really, really downtrodden. As you get closer in, you can now see people are lining up outside the temple, and everyone seems to just look super sad. A few women are holding flowers, but not like a bouquet like a wedding would be. Just like a single flower.
I'm gonna try and find somebody like that doesn't look too like caught up in whatever
Mhm.
they're doing, and just be like, excuse me, what's going down on at the temple?
So at first, the man standing on the walkway off of the dirt road near that general store area kind of looks over at you, and he leans onto a horse post, and he says, well, ma'am, there was another child taken. The family is getting ready to do the last rites in the temple.
Sorry to hear. How many? Another? There have been more.
This would be about the third one in a week's time.
That's horrible.
Can we hear this as they're conversing?
Yeah, I feel like the group would do that. Like we're gonna stand nearby to listen, but also creepily not just like all rush up on this one guy.
Yeah.
As you're talking to him.
So out of his earshot, I want to say to Rain and Cassandra, you don't think that this is more of the serial killer's work? Maybe he left Sandpoint and followed down this direction, which supports the idea that perhaps they are tied to Foxglove Manor.
That's one theory that we could look at. I mean, either way, obviously children are missing, and that's a big problem.
Taken. I wonder. They might be holding the funeral too early.
It does seem a bit early. I mean, especially if they don't have a body.
Yeah. I mean, the poor family. But if this isn't the first child taken, maybe they already know that they're not. Well, maybe they've already given up hope.
Malvola will look around and see if there's any flower vendors or people so that he can maybe get some flowers for the group.
As you kind of look around and try to look for flowers, Your best guess would probably be there seems to be like a little stall to like kind of close to the general store that they seem to be selling stuff, little trinkets and baubles. Flowers are out there. Nothing of great importance. It kind of looks like a bad lemonade stand a kid would set up, but made for like just knickknacks.
I will go and try to procure flowers.
So as you walk up and you start to talk with the young man standing back there, he's just like, "Oh, what can I get for you, sir?"
I would like 5 of your finest flower, and I pointed a pretty one.
Sure, not a problem. Did you know the family? And he starts to pull out single flowers.
No, but we are of course quite saddened by the turn of events.
Mm.
How about yourself? Was it someone close?
Oh, it was Jasper's boy. Went missing.
And so,
Uh,
the funeral. What exactly are they putting in the ground if the child has only been missing a week?
well, we've had a few bodies turn up a day or two later. Uh, Usually fairly well, they turn up.
Huh. I look. I'm a little scared because it feels almost. I mean, it almost feels like they're like having the funeral so that as soon so they can time it almost so that yep, we found the body into the coffin and into the do you know what I mean? Like that's terrifying. The fact that this guy is like treating it very very kind of normal, like oh yeah, no, the body will get found. That's the same thing happened with the others. That is terrifying, and I will pay 1 gold, 1 solid gold, which is a lot of money for 4 measly flowers.
Yeah,
just so I don't have to talk to this individual anymore. I will put 1 gold on the counter. I slide it across. I take the and I hurry away. And
he's like, "Sir, change." And he just
just
kind of gets quiet and puts it away.
yeah.
Next in the larger man that you're talking to, he's kind of standing there and he looks down. He's talking to you and he's like, "So what brings you into town?"
We were just kind of on our way over to Magmar.
City folk.
And we're not quite from there. You haven't happened to see any large creatures or anything around recently?
Large creatures. Well, we have been having some trouble out in the woods. See, we usually go out and clear some wood and we sell that over into Sandpoint and Magmar, but we've noticed a lot of the wood seems to be getting destroyed, and out by the mine near the Ashen Runes, there was words of smelling brimstone and fire.
Huh. This didn't happen to be around the same time as we're looking into a few things up at Sandpoint, so I'm just wondering if there's any similarities. But this didn't happen to be around the same time as those kids getting taken, you said?
No, just the stuff with the mines and the trees getting knocked over. Some of the older folk think they claim they see lizard people running around, and then all of a sudden they hear a roar and they're claiming it's a dragon. I doubt it though. They ain't been dragons out this far in ages.
Right.
As he's telling you that, he kind of looks up and the bells from the chapel start to ring and people start to enter. And with that, we will take our quick break, and we'll be right back after these 0 messages. We're just taking a break. So, Nixon, as you were talking to that gentleman by the post, and the bell started ringing, and people started to funnel in towards the temple of the multiple deities, he says, "Ma'am, have a good day." And then he starts to walk, and he stops in his tracks and turns and says, I know you're new here, and I have no right to ask, but we could use any prayers if you wanted to join us in mass today." And he kind of nods to you and then starts to head off down towards the temple. You see he stops at the gentleman Marvolo was at, has a conversation, picks up a flower, and then heads towards the temple.
Yeah, I'll go back to the group. It's I don't really know if the lodge footprints have anything to do with but there apparently been children going missing, so that explains why no one's running around.
Oh, well, I mean, this is quite awful, but when we say like missing children, I mean, I'm imagining most children are rather smaller with tinier feet, right? Like the 15 footprints that we followed in here.
Well, he also mentioned some like lizard folk, so and possibly some folk down at the mine talking about like fire and brimstone and maybe a dragon.
Oh,
So I mean, I guess where the footprints weren't there, something could have just flown off.
a dragon is kind of a big deal. Have any of them seen the dragon, or is this just like? I mean, those are massive. I'm sorry. No, you didn't. You're the messenger. I apologize.
I mean, yeah, the fellow seemed a bit doubtful of dragons. Kind of seemed to think like maybe that was folks telling a tall tale.
Oh, okay, good. I mean, very, very rare dragons, right? Like, and also dangerous. Um, okay, okay. Um, right. Well, I guess we have something ahead of us now. Do we want to help find the children? She's going to look hopefully and expectantly from her party. Right?
I imagine we are here for that reason.
Perfect. Okay, we're finding children.
Someone has cast silence on Malvo.
Oh. Well, if it's any consolation, Kalodi was very eager to go on this thing. But apparently he was distracted by a bird. Meanwhile, however, Malvolo says, Rain, listen, I don't know how to say this, but I spoke with a vendor nearby, and, well, he said that some of the bodies have already been recovered.
Of the children? Where did they find them? What?
I'm not entirely sure, but the one who's currently having the funeral held for them is still missing, but the others are not. I think if we wish to get answers, we might need to perhaps pay our respects and unearth the truth in a more direct fashion.
When you when you say unearth, are you using that as a like a metaphor that appropriately fits the situation, or are you talking about disrupting their grave sites?
Well, I don't mean to in any way disrespect the dead. I have the utmost respect, but one way or another, we should find out if they too have the mark of the Shedron on them.
Or if they've been, turning into ghouls.
Mm. The last thing we need is for them to be unearthed and then attack this poor town.
Couldn't we talk to like the medical professional who assessed their bodies, perhaps? This town probably doesn't have one, does it? No.
Look, I am the medical professional from Sandpoint, and I am a woodcarver. I'm not holding my breath here.
Okay. All right. Fair. Okay. High hopes.
Because it's very true. I'm probably the most doctory person in Sandpoint, aren't I? It's like someone's ill, they go to the carpenter. Excuse me, what? Can you check my sniffles?
Got similar tools. It'll be fine.
Just sit, hold still. No.
Well, we were invited into the funeral to, add our wishes and thoughts.
At that point, I'll hand everyone a flower and put one in Kalodi's mouth.
Perhaps we can learn more there.
Heading into the temple, following, trailing behind the townsfolk, you enter, and ahead of you, it's small. It sits probably at max, if the whole town were to show out, people would have to be on the outside, so it's not big. You kind of walk in, stand to the back, keep out of sight, out of mind. There is a single priest up in the front. Oddly, not in exactly the robes and the garb you would be expecting for someone delivering sermons. They seem to be wearing more commoner clothing, fine commoner clothing, but just common clothing. Everyone gives reference and reverence to the holy man. Allows for their sermon to go on about the afterlife, about loss, and how it's the will of the gods, and they, through their mystery, we might be able to know the truth. And it's very somber. There's a tiny casket in the front, closed. You can see up in the front, obviously, a mother wailing, crying, beating on her chest. A father standing there stoic. 3 other little children, all of them holding their mother tightly, crying. Everyone, please give me a perception check. Okay. Ooh. Okay, Marvolo. Chloe's ahead. Chloe gets nothing. Let me see. Okay, so we have
Kalodi's got eyes and ears.
Marvolo and Nexon kind of got where they needed to be. Nexon, as you're watching the sermon go on, something strikes you slightly. You notice the way every time the pastor, the holy man speaks, when he moves, it looks like his body moves, and then it just seems off, kind of like if a puppet were to be being talked, and the mouth, like those bad Godzilla Japanese movies where they talk and the mouth moves but the voice doesn't sync up exactly. And Marvolo, with your medical knowledge, it just looks like There is no good way to describe this. It just looks like something is off with their movements. Their joints are kind of stiff and move in an awkward position.
I'm gonna kind of trying to be like not super obvious, so I'll
Mhm.
like whisper to myself and kind of down below sight pull out some string and create the cat's cradle and cast detect magic and just kind of see where the string pulls me.
Sure. So sorry, if I trailed off and looked off into the distance, I'm reading something. I got my cue cards back here. That's what it is. And so as you do that and the string kind of pulls, it lifts a little bit and then it points in the general direction of the holy man. But then the holy man kind of makes a step out of the direction and then it points beyond. And you're like, okay, what's beyond? Oh, it's the cemetery in the back. There is something probably going on in the cemetery behind you.
I'm just going to lean over to whomever is sitting next to me and be like, I think we need to check out the cemetery when it's convenient.
Yeah. So you guys are all huddled fairly close, and everyone would hear that. Marvel, you would hear that. Rain, Cassandra. So you do it like under your breath, like when you talk down to like muffle it.
Yeah.
Kaz will make a gesture with her head that she acknowledges it, but this is also why her perception is not great. She takes funerals quite seriously. Oh goodness. So you know she's like that person who's like shh in I'm like I'm taking it serious.
Very serious.
I don't shh Nixon though. I'm just saying that's the vibe I have. I don't shh you. I'm just like I hear you, but also I'm focusing.
Yeah. So after a few moments, the sermon kind of comes to its natural conclusion. The pastor steps down and starts to shake hands with the family, greeting people. As he kind of walks, he stumbles a little bit, and it looks like he took a wrong step and catches himself, and people grab him. He goes, "Oh, it's okay, it's okay," and he lets off a heavy cough. And everyone starts to leave the church, and the husband says to the townsfolk, says, "Please, everyone, come to my house. We will be serving dinner, and you're all invited, please. And thank you." And then they kind of head off down the road. The mom still wailing and crying, the children hanging on. More of the townsfolk following them, giving them aid. The rest who aren't really involved with the family start to head back to their shops and everything. And the pastor goes to back into the temple at that point and shuts the door behind them.
Anybody else notice that the pastor was a little
Off?
cattywampus? Yeah.
Yes, I couldn't help but notice that as well.
Strange.
Perhaps he's sick. He was coughing. Maybe he's unwell.
It
Positive thoughts.
Seemed more than that. Like just his like movements and speech weren't lining up.
Well, how about we have a conversation with him?
I think that is a wise idea.
You know, get to the bottom of it by a direct conversation.
All right. Well, Malvolo will walk up to the church doors, presuming we've been ushered out along with the crowd. And I will see if the doors are opened.
They are unlocked, so you may enter.
I will push open the door and look beyond.
As you open and you go into this small, church, the candle lights are still lit, casting eerie shadows every which way. You look around, and again, it's not big, so you would see the person if they were in here, and you don't see them. There's a door to the very far end. That's obviously where they would go out into the back, into the graveyard, or possibly like a changing room area.
I will look up immediately. Because if I suspected puppet strings and the like, I'm just like, don't be on the ceiling.
You look up. As you're looking up, looking around, you don't notice anything specifically. Do you have religion? Are you trained in religion?
Am I trained in religion?
Mm-hmm.
I am not trained in religion.
Okay, well then, everything looks normal. I mean, normal, right?
Ish.
Yeah, ish.
Shall we see if he's out back?
Certainly.
Yeah, just follow him over into his space.
Is the child's coffin in here still?
Yes, the child's coffin is still in here.
Before we do, there's maybe it might be. I mean, it should be empty, right? That's what. Yeah. Let me just. I'll walk over and I'll open the coffin.
As you open the coffin, where you would assume it would be empty, there is a small child inside.
I don't even open it the whole way. As soon as I open it partway and I see that there's some humanoid shape inside of it, I will slam it shut. And I'll say, the craftsmanship of this wood looks very, very good. I will maybe consider using it as a conversation starter for when we find the priest, because I need to rebuild Kalodi. If you guys would like to look out the back for the priest, I'll be with you in a moment. I'll Cass as well. You understand things of the mortician. You perhaps maybe could help me assess what type of wood this is.
Okay. I'll close the door so that people don't see us touching the coffin.
Long
like
story short,
random strangers are now touching the coffin.
Oh yeah, you can kind of tell that that Malvolo is very nervous. That's not very subtle at all. But you can also tell that he keeps shooting his gaze towards Rain. More specifically, he doesn't want to let her know that there's a dead child in here. So he's kind of looking at the others like if he had telepathy, it would be like, oh god, there's a dead child. We can't let Rain see the dead child. If we let Rain see the dead child, this is going to be a whole other thing. We need to investigate the child first. Help!
As Marvolo is kind of explaining about the wood and Cassandra, the door to the back of the room kind of creaks open, and in now steps the pastor that you saw, and they are holding with them a shovel, like they were to start to, like they were gonna dig a hole. And he looks, and I think Nexon, you're good, Dawn? It looked like you froze a little bit.
No.
Okay, cool. So as he kind of steps in, he goes, looks around, and he puts the shovel down. He goes, how may I help everyone?
Rain is gonna step up. Yeah, hi. We're here.
Yes. I'm sorry, you all must be new. And he looks over at the party, because obviously, and he says, how may I help you? lost souls.
Well, Nexon and I and the rest of our group, and we're gonna try to like create like a visual barrier
Hmm.
of sorts. We tend to help in different situations, and we unfortunately heard about the missing children and attended today's service, which our hearts grieve for the families, and we'd like to be able to ask some questions, and perhaps you can help us. You've
Yeah, we've been investigating something
Mhm.
similar, uh, and don't know if this is related at all or not.
Oh,
And
what seems to be the problem?
The dead have a tendency to have weird situations surrounding them, is what we've noticed, unfortunately.
And
So,
yeah, we've had a rash of some strange murders. So when we heard that there were some missing kids, we didn't know if maybe you're experiencing some of the same stuff we are.
mhm. Just make sure that it's not like the same individual or if it's something different. And if it is, that maybe we can help. If it
Thank
helps,
you.
we have badges. She's going to flash hers from Sandpoint. We're
Oh,
authorized.
Hmm.
um,
I mean, our
wow.
jurisdiction's a little bit further out here, but we are seen as individuals who can help in communities.
Okay. Um, I'm sorry. I'm very much surprised. So we have been so uh as many people are thinking it is a monster, it's always easy to blame monsters. This is more, and he coughs again, just a hard cough, and now he picks a shovel up and he kind of leans on it for posture, and he says, I'm sorry, the children have been passing on, and they are going missing. It is very strange, but um we the bodies are the children. They have died from suffocation. It is nothing mystical or magical. They um you know, sometimes they go out and play, fall into a lake or something. We've had some of them come back a little bloated, purple, and it seems to be mostly just natural causes. Um, we like to blame magic in our world for a lot of things, but nature is also very capable of doing this. It is a tragedy to lose children of all different ages. Um, and then he coughs harder this time. Um, and he stands up.
A glass of water or something, dear? You seem like you're just not doing so well. Do you have a sickness? Are you?
Oh, when I was young, I did pick up a sickness. Uh, my body is withering, but my spirit is strong in the gods, and I'm willing to keep going. Without me, this town would be lost.
It's so nice that your faith is keeping you so strong. Who is it that you attribute that to?
Oh, all the gods. They keep me strong. As I am the only one out here, I have to um, worship multiple deities.
Do I get a sense that he's telling the truth about the kids?
You may roll a perception check to see if someone's lying. That's insight. That would be like your insight check.
Okay.
Perception covers that.
Yeah. Can I also just, while they're talking, just like really look at him to see if I can also see if he's acting weird, if he does seem to be moving disjointedly.
Sure. Let me see. I just have to check this guy's stats real quick. So, Nexon, he's weird, but he's not being awkwardly weird. It is just he's having a weird conversation with you. Cassandra, if you would like to roll.
Perception.
Just a perception, please.
Okay, sure. Sorry. Perception. Oh.
Being closer, it makes it a little easier, right? So the roll that you had earlier was you were at a distance, and now that you are closer, you could tell that like there seems to be something wrong with like his movements. His shoulders move in weird fashions. When he coughs, it's not that he is coughing and as a person's chest would like shake. He is just coughing.
I'm going to say, although you the cause of death might be natural, surely it's unnatural to have so many young children, young people die in such quick succession. Have you not investigated, or told them to not play by the river, or?
We have warned the children not to go play by the water. And at this point, he's kind of walked forward and started to interpose himself between the party and the casket. And he's like, we have told the townsfolk to please watch their children, make sure their children are within earshot and to keep them safe. It is very strange, but again, accidents can happen. It's a very, very difficult process. Now I do need to take this and
just
put it in.
Sorry, just quickly before he does,
Sure.
I want to sort of whisper to Nexon. Nexon, do you have a needle?
Yeah. She pulls out a needle and.
Yeah, I'm going to very, very quietly kind of reach for the needle. And then as I step out of the way to let the priest kind of go towards the coffin, I want to kind of jab him in the arm. Like
Punch
not
or...
like I'm gonna shank you with the world's tiniest prison utensil. Yeah. I mean, so here's my thought. His skin and his flesh are kind of like dangling, like they don't belong to him, which in my mind could mean a domination, or it could potentially mean that something's up. So I want to kind of see if he has like pain sensors. Like, can he feel pain?
So you're gonna kind of like you're trying to prick him. Just without him knowing.
No, I want him to know, because then he'll go like, ow. Yeah, I want him to go, ow, okay. and then it's like, okay, cool, this is a person, right? But if I prick him and he's like, dum-da-dum, it's like, I jabbed his dude with a needle, he didn't notice, which for me is like, that could be like, he's like, not a human, not real, not a person.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you kind of lean forward to jab him.
Yep.
And he kind of takes a step back, to avoid you, and because like he's having a reaction to you, and you kind of like jab him a little bit on the you get close enough, right? So you're like and you catch him slightly on the hand, like on the front of his hand.
Okay.
And he pulls it back away from you, and then he covers it, and he says, "Excuse me.
Oh,
what was all that?"
He has terrible manners, and that's how they greet people from where he's at.
Oh,
they stab people.
What?
I apologize.
Okay, can I make it so that he? I mean, because here's my logic: is I want to stab him in such a way that he didn't know that I'd stabbed him. Yeah, like I bumped him and he felt something painful. Not like
Got
that.
It.
Yeah, not walking up to him being like, "Hello, greetings, how are you?"
Hi. Stab.
Yeah. How you doing?
It's just how he greets people.
Well,
Yes.
you see, being from New York, I was like, oh, that's fairly common. That's happened frequently. So, yeah, that's like when you go on the bus and you see the bus conductor, they swipe at you real quick.
Oh yeah, it makes perfect
so
sense.
yeah, total sense. Okay, sorry, I apologize. Okay, so as he gets closer to interpose himself with you and the coffin, Marvolo grabs the needle from Nexon and kind of secretly stabs him. If you want to roll a stealth check, just to stealthily see how well you can
Sure.
secretly prick him.
That is a
So-
17.
Yeah. So as you kind of walk past to give him space, you reach out and prick his hand right back on the to see if he has a reaction, and he doesn't seem to react to you. When you pull the needle back and you look at it, normally there should be some form of blood or something, and there is absolutely nothing on it. Well, there is a little something, but it's more thick than it is anything else.
Does he
Uh,
smell it?
Oh,
usually?
Oh, I was gonna say I smell it straight away. Like just
as you click it to your nose, it reminds you of the many stinky creatures you've dealt with before.
Oh, so does it smell like that hatchet that we
Yeah.
I you know, before he looks around, because I've walked past him, right?
Mhm.
So we're facing, I'm just like, get, because
can
Malvolio has
we,
no communication skills. He's just flailing. There's panic.
can we help you make carry that out to the graveyard?
Yes.
Um,
Seeing as you let us preserve your body and your spirit whilst we can, so that you can better serve this town. And I'm doing one of those, like, if you say no, we know you're gonna be dodge. So like, yeah.
So he looks at the group and he says, I greatly appreciate the service, but I can handle this myself. It is my duty to this town and to this area.
Well, let us at least take the coffin to the gravesite, and we will leave you to bury it yourself. But even, unfortunately, a child's dead weight, I know, can be quite heavy.
Oh,
You
well, we
sick, ill, and clearly us
Yeah.
as capable, we can lift it and carry it out easily with no harm.
at this point, the party's now everyone starts to get that whiffed, as even the slightest prick, kind of, like a water balloon, it starts to leak out slowly. So being so close, you're starting to get that rancid smell at this point. And he looks at the party. He goes, I appreciate that. While there isn't anyone in the coffin, and he looks at Cassandra, and he makes a face at you. It's like there's no body in the coffin. We have yet to find a child, and
So
it's
you are
just
just-
empty. I could easily carry it. It wouldn't be a problem.
So you are burying the empty coffin, and then what? Do you redig it up to bury the child?
Yes, that is our customs here. Yes, Marvolo.
So are there pews in this temple?
Yeah, yeah.
Are
It's
there like
Are the people
two
still
rows of 6.
yeah? No, they left, and then Cassandra closed the door behind us.
Yeah, so it's closed. You guys aren't here.
Yeah, is there like, so in some churches they have like the pews, but then they've got like a Bible in front of every seat, kind of like a holy book or holy scripture. Is that kind of the case here? Is there like a big, thick, heavy book?
In the
chairs here?
front there is.
Oh, like at the very, very front?
Where you guys are kind of standing near the coffin.
Cool.
There is a.
Okay. Seeing that no one seems to be You know, like Malvolo is starting to sweat bullets. He realizes that a lot of what he was doing is facial expressions, and he wears a mask, so all he's doing is just like this weird pantomime, and he's not good. As you know, the priest is talking. The moment he takes his eyes off Malvolo, I'm gonna reach for the book and I'm gonna hit him as hard as I can, square across the head.
Awesome.
With the heaviest book I could find.
Yeah. So, cool. So you grab the book and you swing it as hard as you can. As I don't have a creature on the board because I thought this would go a little differently.
We attack him.
Yeah, you attack him. That's fine. It's not a problem. Priest is sus.
Look, I've been attacked by the gods for less.
Yeah, you grab it and you turn and you hit him with the spine of the book, knowing that would cause the most damage, and you smash it into the back. So, Cassandra, as you're talking, Rain, Nexon, Cassandra, you're talking, so you're kind of like not into it, but Rain and Nexon, you instantly see what Marvolo is doing, and he kind of whips the book into the man's head. The man's head jerks forward, and Cassandra, what you see is the man's head like jerk forward, and he lifts back up, and all the skin has slouched forward onto his face. And Marvolo, as you hit, the book kind of splinters and falls, and as you realize what he was reading from when he was up there, it is or was like a holy manuscript, and it has been just defaced.
Oh dang.
There are just markings in there speaking gibberish and random
oh good.
and every so often you'll just see the 7-pointed star circled, and then you'll just see the word lordship written over and over again, and yeah, so and we're here now. So Cassandra, the melty man face looks up at you.
Can I hold up some of the pages behind them?
Yeah.
Nexon's gonna use this opportunity, and she's just gonna go, "Oh heavens to Betsy," and pull off a one of the charms and kind of spin it around. And you see just kind of this wave of energy go, and I will cast Zone of Truth.
Oh, nice!
Just done with lie.
No, all the lies gone.
Yeah. Just to make sure he doesn't go anywhere, can I grapple him?
Yes, you may. So make a. So everyone's gonna get like you kind of like it's exploded, right? So Rain at this point rushes forward and grabs the priest. The priest. Right? Excuse me.
He's smaller than me, though, right? Can I just like?
Yeah. You got him. You got that Titan wrestler thing. You got him. So you kind of like wrap your big old arms around him.
Hands. I don't really want to hold him close to me.
Yeah. So you do that thing where you put your hands on someone and to like stop their arms from going up.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So can you make a athletics check, please, and thank you.
26.
26 is more than enough because you have like surprised the heck out of this guy. So he is flat-footed. So he's -2 on a lot of different things. And so you grab him, and now he's looking. He's like, "Get off of me!" And his voice has changed. And as he's shaking his head, the skin is flapping around.
Make sure my mouth I don't want any of that in.
just holding him back.
No, after you.
So you have him. You got the Zone of Truth up. What would you like to do? Marvolo has like cold cocked him, so he is confused.
All right, what in darnation is going on with these kids?
As you just skip an entire adventure path.
All right. Okay. So 1 moment. Let me do something. So every time I try to talk,
so it's
they have a difficulty lying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here's the funny part. This creature that I was using has a pretty high charisma, right? really good for lying to townsfolk and everything. Really terrible, Will.
Nice.
All right, so let me roll. Yeah, yeah.
19 is
So,
yeah.
oh, 19? Yeah. Okay. So, what happens when I fail? I did not critical fail, which I thought was going to happen. I might take a -2 on deception checks, and I'm
Yes, it can't
stuck,
take
and it can't
any
deliberately,
deliberate or
intentionally lie.
intentional.
Dang.
Mhm.
Woo. Okay, so we're here now. So you could see it's like, and he's trying not to say anything. He's like, no, you can't force me. They're mine.
All right. Well, who in tarnation are you?
I'm the grave digger. They are mine.
While they're talking, I'm going to can I do an occult or a religion to
Yep.
to check?
Religion or occult would work.
And while that's going on, can Malvolo look around in the area to see if there's any like basins of holy water?
So as you look around, and
Maybe.
normally where there would be, like when you enter, 17 is fine. There is no holy water in there. It looks like it's very dry. So it was kind of removed specifically.
Damn.
So the Gravebound, this humanoid figure are hateful creatures formed when the souls of people who were buried alive return. Animated grave dirt and magic formed their new bodies, and they are obsessed with their own death. Gravebound can't travel far from their resting place, but they seethe with anger towards all the living. A Gravebound digs graves and attempts to bury victims alive. So that is what you know.
As soon as I realize that, I'm gonna run past him to the coffin and flip it open and see if the child is vaguely alive, like maybe it's in stasis of some kind.
Yeah. So as you open the coffin, there is a small child inside, very white, almost like a grayish, as if they are in some kind of like something has drained them of energy. And looking over the little boy's body, you notice there's a bite mark on its shoulder, like right about here. It's fairly visible, and you would assume that the thing that Rain is holding was the thing that bit him. And it's kind of, these creatures are very similar to ghouls, and they have that same ghoul. They're like down the line of ghouls, right? So they have a paralyzing bite that they could do to living creatures, and they do that, and then they bury them alive, and they suffocate them, and then this guy seems to be giving the bodies back.
So is this child dead though?
Probably not, but he was also bitten with like a ghoul fever kind of aspect. So the child is, yeah.
I'm gonna wait for a pause in because now that I know the kid's alive and I've opened the coffin airway, I'm going to wait for a moment in the conversation to say something.
Do you have anything to do with ghouls and stuff like that?
So when you say that, he kind of laughs at you and like tilts his head back, and now his like face is kind of coming back together, and he says, "Ghouls, one of them turned me into this monstrosity you see before you."
And at that, I'm gonna say from the back, and I'm gonna open the coffin so the child can breathe, but leave it in the coffin in case crazy
Yeah.
cool child. And I'm gonna come back around and I'm going to say, I know what you are, grave bound. And then I'm going to say what he is as like not to tell the rest of the group, like, we know, like we've known all along kind of thing. And I'm going to say, we know that you've been taking the kids and burying them alive, and that child in the coffin is still alive.
No, he's mine.
Why?
He's mine. You can't have him. They don't deserve to live. I was their priest and they left me to die in the ground. Now I take everything that's precious to them.
So someone buried you alive.
Yes. Yes. They kept saying his lordship, kept screaming it. And now I'm here, stuck bound to this town. Damn them all.
Well, you know, we're after this lordship as well. So if you work with us, we can get you know, justice for you.
Closure. Don't you want closure? Who wronged you? Allow us to write this.
At that, you could see Cassandra was starting to cast disrupt. Like, Cassandra's like, we don't need information from these abominations.
Yeah.
Like, because this is like necromantic abominations. Like, this is bad. And Cassandra was starting to disrupt undead, and she sees what they're doing, and she slows it, but yeah, she's not impressed that people are making deals here with this thing. And she's gonna say, might I remind you, the priest is unfortunately probably dead, and he has murdered multiple children alive.
Absolutely. We'll let him go to rest, and he can, before we let him sleep for eternity, if he could tell us a few things about the people who buried him.
Tell us, yes.
Yeah,
Work
just
with
tell
us,
not
no.
show us. He's been bound here, right? You've been bound here. You can't go anywhere else.
Yes.
Yeah, see? So he's not, he won't come with us. No. Just if he has anything that he saw with who buried him, then we will carry out that fulfillment for him, and he can rest peacefully.
Yes,
And
I will lay everyone to rest peacefully.
Cassandra's gonna be
kind
like, I will lay you to rest, and she's like in the back. She's like,
Look,
Yeah.
"Bitch."
Nexon's
I've
just
seen
gonna
the
grab
terrors.
Cassandra. Oh, go ahead.
sorry. No,
I was
again,
just
Nexon.
gonna say, Nexon is just gonna grab Cassandra and be like, oh no, yeah, we're not letting him, continue.
Okay, I'm just checking. I apologize. It's just a lot.
I agree. Yeah.
And then I'm gonna take steps back, because almost like, if I stand close to you, I'm just gonna unmurder you without
Moving
warning.
back.
So I'm just gonna step back and be like,
Malvolor will. I will look for the next heaviest thing on this table.
Sure. As you look around, you do find what would be their, like the because there's multiple different deities, so they have different symbols. So they would have one of these symbols, and it's kind of like made out of it would be silver, and it would probably be, these symbols would be the most expensive thing the town would have.
Is there one of like the god Pharasma?
Yes, all these temples would have one of those.
So I grabbed the symbol of Pharasma. Is there like a one of those big candle holder things, like the really long? Sweet. I'm gonna use a craft check and put these two things together while the conversations are happening, and then once it's kind of reached its inevitable conclusion, I want to use as much momentum and weight as I can to just swing the idol of Pharasma with as much heft and momentum, top down, straight on top of this thing.
Sure. Yeah, make a craft check. Want to make sure it's nice and sturdy. Don't
Oh
want
yeah,
it to be
super steady. That's a 15.
okay. It's not your best work, but it's your better work when done in a rush.
Duct tape.
Yeah. So, Rain, as you're holding this creature, as it moves, you can feel like that grave dirt. Like, you know, when you hold a bag of dirt and it kind of shifts in your hands. That's what's happening on the inside of this creature. And it looks at the group and says, "Look, allow me to bury this child. I'm doing it a service. The world is hideous out there. I'm taking them to a better place."
He's just gonna hold it up higher. Can we just get the information we need and we can, maybe replace the child with this in the coffin?
Look, I normally would agree with you, but this thing seems to be very insistent on burying things. I think... Well, fine. You. Tell us... How did you die? In detail.
It was... and you could see him struggling against Nexon's spell, Zone of Truth. But sadly, he can't seem to break it. And he looks at the group and he says, "I was the priest. I served them. They were my flock. And then one day, there was a man in the town, and they loved him, and he loved them. One day, I was in the graveyard doing my work, and the man came to me, and he said he'd allow me to save everyone in the town. He bit me and buried me, and I woke up this hideous monster, bound to this temple, bound to the graveyard. He lied. His lordship is a monster."
What did he look like?
Oh, he was a beautiful man, young. He wore a blue suit, a large hat, and he came to me. And when he changed, his face turned hideous. The skin pulled back. The eyes turned red and the fangs were sharp.
Okay. Thank you. We will carry on this work. You can just... We'll all help you now to sleep. She's gonna nod at Cassandra. I think we're good now. You're good now. You can rest.
No, my work is not done. I must bury them all to take them away from the pain.
She's gonna hold him out. Can someone help me with this? Often like how you might hold out a baby that needs changing. Like,
Shock Lackey!
And I'll cast Disrupt Undead at the same time.
Cast it on the symbol of Pharasma, and then just BAM!
Yeah.
Holy two-handed club.
As Marvolo comes from, again, behind this poor man, he's just clubbing this guy in the back of the head. Cassandra rains down her energy. And there is a shatter as the creature's head explodes with dirt, covering the room and everyone in like that grave dirt as you've exploded his head, because he's kind of, it was a bad look. He was way on the level compared to you guys. It was more about the deception. And you smash him, and then Rain, as you hold the body, it starts to like where his head would be, you're holding it too tight, and when you squeeze like the top of like if you take a bag and you squeeze it too tight, the stuff kind of falls out. So it kind of looks like like dirt, like a dirt sausage, like you're pushing the...
I was thinking of fountain, but a sausage is much grosser to think
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, you're like squeezing out and then you're like, oh, and you let, yeah.
Okay. I know it's just dirt, but it's magical dirt that had a very gross thing in it, and I'm very unhappy with this. She's just gonna like hold her hands out like I need to wash these somewhere.
Uh, Nexon's just gonna walk over and use prestidigitation to like clean all of the dirt off Rain's hands.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Dear, I don't think I would have been able to touch anything. Oh,
yeah.
whew. That was hideous.
I'm gonna keep hitting the grave dirt.
Just keep
I'm
smushing it.
gonna stop
Literally kind of
Malvola and I say, I think we could use your help with the child. And then I'm gonna lead everyone to the coffin and I'm gonna tell them further about, how the grave round work and that's probably a paralysis bite, potentially has some ghoul fever symptoms, and the child is probably still alive.
Rain is going to
Okay.
lift the
Hearing everything Cassandra says, Malvola sits there and goes, "Okay. Once again, I am a carpenter, not a doctor, but I will give it my best." As I'll place my hands and just sort of, what I'm basically doing is I'll just tap to kind of check the hollows and see if like the lungs have collapsed or the body has started to rot or anything like that. Is there anything like that?
As you do that, the body is alive. The person is alive.
Oh my god.
You can feel a very slow pulse, like almost non-existent. So if someone were to find this body, they would think it was
Is it a weak pulse or is it a slow pulse?
it's
like
weak. It's weak and slow. So it's like
so it's weak
boom,
and slow.
and then you wait
well,
like 30 seconds. And,
So what I mean by weak and slow, there's the pressure that the blood would be pushing, which would have a great deal of force on it if it wasn't. And then the slow is just the
length.
the rhythm. Yeah. So it's both weak, as in there's not much blood pressure. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try a medicine check with all that knowledge, to attempt to I don't know, resuscitate, revive, something.
To keep the heart going harder. Yeah, you can make a medicine check.
While you're doing that, Rain is holding the child.
I'm gonna reroll.
Because the child was like sick and kind of had like that chill to them.
Yeah, the body is cold. Like as you touch it, it's very cold.
She's gonna almost like cover it, like hold it close to her chest to try to warm it up.
So Marvolo, as you're working diligently on trying to keep the heart rate going and having Rain to keep the body warm, you realize looking at the wound, you're like, this is not, it's not medical. It is like
Poison.
The poison is doing this. The ghoul fever poison is doing this. Cassandra, and you can make a religion check. You have religion, correct?
I need leeches.
Make a religion check, and next, and you may make an occult check.
Ooh, can I use a hero point and reroll?
You may always use hero point to reroll.
Please and thank you.
Rolls.
It's better.
Okay.
Oh, it didn't come across.
It did not come across.
What? Why are you fighting me?
Stop! Not like this.
It's getting higher each time I roll.
It's almost there.
Why are you not showing
There we
on
go.
the thing?
There we go.
Okay, there we go.
Cool.
That was split the difference between the new rolls.
There you go. So, Nexon and Cassandra, you both are using. Oh, I think we lost Dawn very quickly. Unless Dawn is playing us all by not moving. She's just. Oh, it was on my end. Sorry.
As well. No.
So Dawn and Nexon and Cassandra, you guys are like trying to go through every little bit in your head. Marvolo's like, the kid's alive, and Rain is like, we could be, like, oh my goodness. So the two of you kind of come together with a quick and dirty concept of a remedy. It does require a number of reagents and a possible spell. Cassandra, you haven't really done this spell. you know of this spell, but you've never done it. And Nexon's kind of giving you, like, filling you in the blanks, like, wait, maybe we should try this. Like, okay, we could use those crystals that we have. That would definitely work. And maybe some of this, but we definitely need like king's foil and all these different other herbs to make a poultice. And then as she's saying that, Rain, you're picking up and you're like, I could probably find that stuff in the woods. It definitely, like, it's definitely out here. Like, we could definitely find some of that stuff. And Marvolo's like, we don't have a lot of time. Like, just your,
and I'm gonna split it between me and Twilo to go find it.
yeah. As you guys are kind of coming together trying to figure this out, a door opens and the father that you saw, kind of walks in and sees what's going on and is like, what is happening?
We're trying to save your child.
He's
Wait,
alive.
what?
He's gonna move his head
What?
a little.
Where's the, and he looks down and he sees kind of like the body and the dirt.
I'm gonna pull out the badge from Sandpoint and just be like, "Wow, we're here on official business."
Come
He's
over
up.
here. Use this pulse. Come here. Come here.
Wait, what? And then he sees Rain holding the child, and Marvolo's kind of like doing like slight compressions, and is like trying to keep the. He's like, what? Let go of my child! And he rushes Rain, like he rushes you as if he's like going to knock you down, and he grabs the child from your arms, pulling him away from Marvolo, and he's holding. He's like, no, you strangers, what are you doing? What did you do to the father?
He's not dead. You have to feel for it.
And he's looking at his child, and he pulls back, and he's like, Ben, what's going on? Where did you find him?
I'm going to very slowly approach, and I'm going to speak not super slowly, but slowly and calmly, and I'm going to use some of my, like, throw some charisma in there, and I'm going to say, is he wearing any religious symbols? The dad, like, does it look like he's a believer in X god?
Not offhand. He's not like wearing like a big old chain of
okay, so not like he's not wearing any. Okay, so then I'm gonna just sort of pick the one that most people follow, like the popular one.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say because I feel like this town is superstitious, right? Like no one questioned this. They were just like,
yeah. So you were at the festival for Desna, right? So that was the Swallowtail festival. So you could go right to that goddess, and she would be like the mom figure, I would say, kind of like that. Like, people trust her.
Yeah. And isn't she also like fate? Like fate's realm is connected to her. I'm not sure. Maybe that's just in my imagination from previous characters.
So you could work with her. She would be a good goddess.
I say, we were called here by Our Lady Desna to assist your town, and we came in time to potentially save Benjamin's life. If you lay him gently on the floor, and I'm gonna say, like, we mustn't approach, I'm gonna say, lay him gently on the floor and listen very carefully. Malvolo will tell you how to hear it from a distance. As we find the items we need, and because there was no time, I'll gesture to Rain and Twilo that they should maybe go get the stuff still. And then I'm going to look to Nexon, who's very fate, focused, and be like, and gesture that she can jump in at any time to help me make it seem like we were meant to be here and meant to come and arrive in time to save his child and potentially the rest of the town, as fate has guided our hands, and then I say to Nixon, some would say fate is on our side, like, help me.
Right. We were brought here to stop any more of those the children from disappearing and dying, and it's not your son's time to go, so we need to make sure that we can help keep him here.
So as he lays the child on the floor on a pew, right? So he's not going to put the kid near the weird dirt man body at this point. And he lays the child down, and he looks, and he has tears in his eyes, and he goes, I don't know what to believe anymore. If you say you could save my child, I will trust you, but I need. And he kind of takes 2 steps back, and this is a large man, and then he collapses to the floor as if fainted from like just overwhelmed. He's fine, right? But he did just hit a wooden floor, dropped like a ton of bricks.
So Malvolo's gonna roll his eyes, and then he's gonna go, and then I'm gonna use my ward medic ability, and I'm gonna use medicine checks to stabilize the child and like make sure that the dad, who's hasn't suffered a concussion, so I'm like treating both of them now. I'll look at Cassandra and I'll say, if somebody else comes in, they're on their own if they faint.
I'm gonna rush over and close the door, and then maybe like, is there a latch?
Yeah, there's a latch. You can latch it shut.
I'm gonna latch it.
Yeah. So quickly latching the door shut, you're able, Marvolo, you're kind of keeping the child going. Cassandra and Nexon and Rain. Actually, Rain, can you do me a huge favor? Can you give me a nature check?
Dirty 20.
Awesome. Okay, that's good. Good. I'm glad you guys are rolling like mid to high tier today. This would be way different if you weren't. So as you kind of like, so Marvolo's doing his thing. As you were holding the child, you inquisitively, right, being part of nature, Marvolo saying this is a poison, Cassandra and Nexon being like, yes, it's a negative poison, and herbs. You're like, well, maybe if I can't find the herb, I need to know what poison or kind of like what might work on it. So you take a little bit on your moose fingernail, right? They might have, a bipedal humanoid moose person has a fingernail, and you're able to smell it, and you're like, oh, this reminds me of this specific toxin from spiders, like when spiders attack. And then you're like, oh, that's bad. That the kids they found, that you realize the kids are probably still alive, the ones that they buried. The people wouldn't have known that they were poisoned. They would have assumed they were dead and just buried them after the guy brought them back. So they're in the graveyard, probably still buried alive currently. If they're not breathing as bad as Marvolo says, and they're slowed, they're probably got like at least a few days worth of oxygen down there.
Now, I don't mean to alarm anyone, but if everything I understand is coming to pass, then very calmly, I require that Rain, you pick up the shovel that the priest was carrying in here, go and locate the graves of the 2 children, dig up the coffins and bring them here. They may be alive, but don't rush, because if you are too excited with your shoveling, you may cause the ground to crush the coffins from the weight. So calmly, collectively, go and grab those coffins, but not slowly. Yeah, calmly, but not slowly.
Calmly grab coffins.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, so the spell that we are planning on doing is a spell I would be casting, not Nixon. It's like a necromancy.
Yeah, it would be a necromancy spell, and it would be in a line of a ritual spell. So it does take time to cast. So it's not just like boom, 3 actions and it's done. It's like this is going to take time and effort to cast. And the check and failure is not an option.
Okay, so what I'm going to suggest is I'll maybe start preparing the ritual, and then Nixon, perhaps you can go with Rain and use your detect magic or to find which graves it is faster.
Yeah, I can certainly do that.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
I'll
I'll go with Rain.
Thank you.
Rain and Nexon, as you kind of go out the back door heading towards the cemetery, as it was, it's not it's a town cemetery, so it's large, but it's not massive, right? You kind of wander around, start looking for the graves, and you start to figure out. Nexon, you cast your detect magic, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'll keep sending that kind of out as a pulse.
Okay, so as you do that, the string leads you to a freshly dug grave. It's probably the closest one to this child that was missing, and it would be the newest one, right? So it's the magic is still very vibrant. Rain, can you give me an athletics check to start to let me know how you're gonna do on that dig?
That one. Can I hero point that one?
You may hero point in that one, yes.
Could I fail so hard?
There you go, 22. So you start to throw your back into it, and you're just you're digging harder and harder and faster, and you're able you in like maybe 5-10 minutes. It's a shallow grave, and you're full of adrenaline. You're just pumping, and you kind of tap on the first one. You get down there, and you can see a little coffin. And you start to pull it up. Next, and giving you a hand, dragging it out. You pop it open, and there's a little girl inside. She might still be breathing. You kind of check on her. You lean forward, and you can feel Rain as you lean in on your cheek. You could feel a slight breath just pushing your fur ever so slightly, and it's definitely the child is still maybe alive. You don't know how bad it is, but the child might live. Next, and give me a occult roll.
Can I just say, this is when Sheriff Baylor comes, finds us with dead
Yeah.
bodies of children, and is like, you guys
again. Nexon, now it's getting a little harder to pinpoint that magic. Remember, it's the newer it is, the easier it gets. This one takes you a little bit more time. You're looking around, you keep casting it over and pushing yourself, draining yourself, forcing yourself to go beyond the limits that you even were suspected of, and you're able to at this point get a little closer, and you're like, okay, there's 3. You're in an area, you're like, these 3, it's here, one of these. Rain, give me a nature check. This will be able to tell maybe which is the freshest dog area.
Nat 20.
I'm
saving these kids.
Yeah, so you between Nexon getting you to the area, you're like, this is the one, I know it is. And you don't even use the shovel at this point. You just take both your big hands and you just start pulling up chunks and chunks of dirt, and you get down there in faster than the time you had with the shovel. And
Screaming, I'm a dirty mess, like just
yeah,
these children.
And you pull up another coffin, and you're not sure, but you just pop the top off, and again, a small child is inside. You lean forward and you don't feel anything, and you wait a second and you still don't feel anything, and then finally you feel a slight breath on you, It's so shallow. And with that, you know, you Nexon try a occultism check again, because you're now reaching out deeper into your reservoir of magic.
Come on, Nexon, you can do it. I'm going to cast guidance to help.
Okay.
20, good. On a 20, Nexon, that little string, it's weakly moving up every so slightly, and then finally this one, it just picks up, and you get to the area. This would be the last child found. Rain jumps onto it, starts pulling up the dirt, pulls up the body, opens it, and again the small child, and you wait, and this child looks even worse for wear. You notice that on this child, the child is breathing, but the ears have slightly started to point, and the teeth have started to become more like fang-like, as if the ghoul fever is taking over. And this child might be a little hard, but you've gotten before the child's turned. You feel it in your bones that like you could save this child. And at this point, Rain, you start to drag in the coffins. You hoist them onto your shoulders, and you just plow in and throw them on the ground. Cassandra starts her chanting. Marvolo's keeping the bodies alive. And that's where we'll end it for today. We'll see how it turns out next week.
Do the children make it?
We'll see. We'll see how the spell goes. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank chat for being here, hanging out with us. It's always so much fun to play with everyone. I want to thank everyone listening. Obviously, I want to thank Hero Forge, Sirenscape, and of course Paizo for creating this amazing adventure. But I couldn't do any of this without my amazing crew of players who allow me to create and interweave these horrific tales that hopefully they don't keep them up at night. So I want to throw it over to, as always, one of the best role players that I get to play with every Sunday, Dawn. I was gonna say Nexon. See, I get confused.
Yeah. Hi. So when I'm not here playing on this awesome game with these awesome people, you can find me over at YouTube at Roll for Initiative, where I make videos with my partner Ryan, all about tabletop RPGs and our other geeky interests.
Hey, I'm Becca Godsey. You can find me on Becca Godsey on Instagram and on Twitter, Caustic Phoenix here on Twitch, where we play Destiny, other RPGs, and occasionally some more D&D.
I'm Carla, and when I'm not here with everyone, I am on twitch.tv/dumdumdie, spelled DUMDUMDIE, every Tuesday night, South African time, but you can catch the recap on a podcast every Wednesday, also Dum Dum Die. Yeah.
And my name's Michael. I am the Dead Aussie Gamer. This is my place. This is my face. And you can find it here every week as I am doing a bunch of different games. Mondays I'm doing Starfinder. Wednesday I'm doing Curse of Strahd. Saturdays I'm doing Strange Aeons. And I am doing, of course, this amazing running of Rise of the Runelords in Pathfinder 2nd Edition every Sunday. In addition, I am doing some stuff on other channels. You can find me on How to Be a Great GM playing Talisman. And on both the Orkenspalter TV channel and Free League Publishing, playing Forbidden Lands, where I play a pair of brother-sister wolfkin, which is a lot of fun. And I think we're gearing up for a crossover episode where I will be meeting my own character, which is kind of weird. Never done that before, but it'll be fun. So yeah, that's what we do. That's what I do. And of course, last but not least, our wonderful GM.
Thank you very much, Michael. And when I'm not here playing with these amazing role players, all of them are amazing, and thank you so much. You can find me over on Twitch every Wednesday playing whatever we do. Most of the time it's Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So if you like Pathfinder 2nd Edition, come check us out at NVNG, or you can check us out on our website, which is way easier, which is nvngpodcast.com. And I'm going to toss it back over to Michael because he has a really cool thing where he raids people and helps out channels. So, Michael?
Yes, indeed. Now, obviously, one of the things we always love doing is we love supporting other channels and we love supporting the community because that's what we're all about. So we are going to go and raid a and very, very awesome D&D GM, role player, and performer, the Tea Dungeon, as they are playing their current campaign of Dungeons & Dragons. But of course, before we do that, we are going to throw a quick word to our lovely sponsor, Hero Forge, which we thank very, very heavily for, as Jared mentioned, all of the very, very cool models and artworks, and of course, all the portraits we actually use. You guys can do some really, really amazing stuff. And if you haven't done so already, I will tell you two special things that I've found in the last week. The first is that there is a Facebook group called Masters of Hero Forge, which if you ever struggle for ideas or poses that you want to play around with, it's a fantastic resource on Facebook. And two, I have recently found out that you can actually make transparent elements to your characters. So if you wanted, you can have floating weapons around your character, or you can have your character having invisibility cast upon them. Yeah, that's one of the new amazing features which I've been playing around with non-stop. So yeah, lots of fun stuff to have there. All right, thank you very much, guys, and thank you to my cast. Thank you, of course, to my wonderful GM. Until next time, as always, from us to you, game hard or die trying. Good night, guys.